What's up, YouTube? If you're watching this in the future, I just want to say thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the recording of this stream. If you like content that focuses on religion and occasional gaming, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. I multi-stream to TikTok, that's the chat you see on the screen, and that's also where I take guests, so make sure to follow both my main and backup TikTok accounts. I'm also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Kick, and Trovo, so follow me on those as well if you prefer. You can also join my Discord server or add me on Snapchat if you'd like to talk off stream. If you want to send text to speech, either tip $1 or more on my Streamlabs page, or instead donate that $1 or more to the Crisis text line through my Streamlabs charity page. If you want to send me some food while I'm live, check out my treat stream. And if you want to send something from my wish list, check out my throne. Lastly, if you want to support the stream, you can join my Patreon or send a tip to my PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App, or by sending crypto via Strike or my Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, or PayPal USD addresses. You can find the links to all of this in my description or through the link on my channels. Thank you for being here, and with that, I'll start it up on TikTok. All right, let's go ahead and click this. Let's do this here, and then let's get this started. I should really have this ready to go before I start it. All right, let's do that. Over here, Xfinity. Get the chat and the alerts, and then boom. All right, let's get it going. But yeah, welcome in, welcome in. Let's get the stream started. See if we can get some talk, yap a little bit, get some bored yapping. Why not? Right. How we wait. But the Bible says otherwise. The Bible says otherwise about what? What's the Bible say otherwise about, Marco? About what? Me asking me anything? I don't know. Surely don't mean that somebody can't be an ex-Christian, right? Like the Bible says that. Because if so, it's not going to end very well for you. Johnny, I see you in a guest request. I'll bring you up in a minute, or like another guest in a minute. I just started though. I want to, get a lay of the land real quick about God's existence. The Bible says a lot of things that we can verify are false. It says God's real, but it also says that virgins are able to give birth, and that people can rise from the dead. It says a lot of different things. People, that the entirety of humanity came from, just God formed it in 6 days. A lot of different things. What's up, Grandang? How you doing? How's your day going? Genesis 1:1 proves God. That's one of my favorite ones to use on my like Christian LARPing streams. It's just so silly. It's so silly. But what's up, Grandang? How you doing? Let's get some appreciate the likes. You did the reverse of me? Ooh. Anything me ask atheist now Christian X? I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm glad you found something that works for you. It's not for me personally. What's your least favorite color? I don't think I've ever been asked that. Least favorite. I don't know. Probably like I think turquoise is kind of silly. No, not turquoise, cyan, like the light blue. I think that's kind of a silly color. Cause I don't see like it never looks good on anything. I don't know. My favorites are orange and gray. My least favorite is probably like cyan. You remember the moment you changed? I do remember the moment I changed. Yes, I do. It was I was 19 years old. I was like a year and a half in the deconstruction. I was looking at evidence, looking for God, doing all that good stuff, praying, just did all that good stuff. And then I don't remember the exact date. Unfortunately, Kayla, thank you for the likes, by the way. I appreciate it. I don't remember the exact date, but I was looking for evidence of God. Like I've been doing for like the past year and a half or whatever. And then for like I thought to myself for a second, anything else in my life that I can't find evidence for, or that's not logically substantial, or that doesn't show himself evidentially, I call it non-existent. So why am I doing something different with God? I didn't have a good answer for myself, so that's when I knew I was an atheist. I was like, oh well, I'm holding God to a different standard. So I don't know. Why don't you believe in God anymore? So I left my faith after about a year and a half of deconstruction, and deconstruction is just critically thinking about why you believe what you believe, interrogating your faith, taking it apart layer by layer, piece by piece, and checking to see if you find any veracity in the claims of the faith. And ultimately, for me, after about a year and a half of that process, roundabout, I just came to the conclusion that I don't believe in anything supernatural or divine anymore. Psalms 14:1, only fools think there's no God. I mean, the Bible says a bunch of silly shit though. So if I'm to believe David when he was singing that song in Psalms, I'm supposed to believe that the world was created in 6 days, that talking snakes exist, talking donkeys exist, that eating a pomegranate can cause a generational punishment, that women were made from bones and men were made from dust. It's just a bunch of silly shit in the Bible. So I don't know if that's the book you should use to say who's a fool and who isn't by not believing in it. You can't see your brain, but you know what's there. Funny story, Faith. I literally had a concussion before, and I've gotten my brain imaged, and I was able to not see the actual flesh and bone, but see the vessels and see the folds and stuff in there. It's kind of fascinating that you brought up my brain because it's fun. As a youth leader, I have helped some people through the deconstruction. It's such a journey. It's a wild ride. It's a wild ride, man. Wild ride. If you're deconstructing currently, hang in there. You'll figure out what works best for you. Would you be interested in giving animals the right to not be physically harmed by people, like animal rights? I would. Optimally, I think that will be probably best, but it's just not the world we live in currently, unfortunately. Factory farming is just too rampant. You know, I wish veganism were more accessible for everybody, but I'm just not in a position where it's accessible. Hope you're having a good night. Hope you're having a good night too, Jude. Appreciate you being here. Can I pray for you? Yeah, you can pray for me if you want to. Bold title, considering what you were saying yesterday. That was an April Fool's joke, dude. I hope I'm sorry if that wasn't apparent, but yeah, that was an April Fool's joke. It was an April Fool's joke, dude. Marvin Sapp is a piece of shit. Elon Musk is a piece of shit. Donald Trump is a piece of shit. And I was just I thought with that one line where I said if you don't believe in God, you're slow, and I spelled York incorrectly. I thought that would have gave it away, but I don't know. A lot of people fell for it. It was an April Fool's joke. Donald Trump is the best. I mean, best at if I say it on TikTok, I'll be banned. I'm an atheist as well. W. What's up, Icy Wid? How you doing? Wide Wid? I'm not sure. Why'd you convert? I left Christianity because I didn't see any evidence for it being true. That's why I left. It's the biggest, most important reasons that there's just a lack of evidence. An atheist and a liberal, yeah, textbook. It's they go together like peanut butter and jelly. Thank y'all for the likes, by the way. I appreciate it. You chose hell? No, I didn't choose hell. I don't think hell exists either. Uh, Trump got a cult following. Indeed he does. Indeed he does. Oh, Kev, dog. I don't mean to be that guy, but Matthew 6:5 says not to do your prayer publicly. Matthew chapter 6, verse 5. So, for your own sake here. Face when the stock market's crashing and people say Trump is the best. Yeah. It's a wild one. A lack of religion is a religion whether you like it or not. And by that logic, bald is a haircut. It's just an asinine way of thinking. Some people in chat have no chill. Yeah, I've been dealing with them for a decade though, so I'm used to it. Someone said to me, "Why worship the same God as your oppressor?" And I started deconstructing. You know what? As somebody who's like half black myself, and so it's a funny story because I'm getting that kind of from all angles, right? Because I'm like half black, and I'm like a quarter Native American, and I'm like a quarter Polish, and so I'm just from every different angles. Like I just got multiple different sects of ancestors saying like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, fair enough." Do you still respect people's religion? I respect the religion. I respect the people that believe in a religion, and I respect their right to believe in it. But if their religion causes harm and it's used as a weapon against marginalized people, I think it's pretty awful. I'm not going to respect that. And so Christianity counts as that, Islam counts as that, and nowadays Judaism counts as that. So no, I don't respect those religions. Unfortunately. Hope you find the truth again soon, real soon. I think if Christianity were indeed the truth, like you say, then there wouldn't be any non-Christians in the world. But sure enough, like 69% of the world isn't Christian. Who lied? God or the serpent? Genesis 2:17. God lied. He committed the very first sin. Very first one. I can't take your atheism serious and wanting evidence when you love Joe Biden. Who said I love Joe Biden? I just said Trump's awful. These things aren't mutually exclusive. By the way, Renee, thank you for the rose, and Kayla, thank you for the 5 roses. I appreciate it. But who's there's a middle ground there. I could think that Joe Biden wasn't a fit president while also not being a on the right. There's if you don't think there's middle ground there, you are you got to take a step back a little bit. Supposedly Trump is the perfect human being when Joe was in office. If it rained, it was his fault. But every time you bring up something dumb crap Trump does, is does he just got in office? You know what? To be fair though, everybody does that. Everybody does that. Everybody does it. But yeah, it's actually pretty laughable. What do you think about paganism? I don't have any positive or negative opinions about paganism. It's just cool. It's just they're doing their things. I like the what is it? The Egyptian pantheon though. I think that's pretty cool. Say hi to Galilea. Hey Galilea, how you doing today? How was your day? How was your night? How you doing? Are babies atheists? I think babies are atheists technically because they don't believe in a god or god figure. So I don't know. Icy, thank you for the follow, and I missed another one. I think I don't know. Barb, thank you for the follow as well. I see y'all in the guest request box. I'm bringing up guests. I want to just give it a while. You might as well just like leave, go grab a snack or something, because it's gonna be a while. I want to, you know, I want to get to know people a little bit before I go letting up guests and having to ice everybody out. By the way, did you know that we are in a massive level 5 storm threat because of the government? I don't know if it's the government that did it, but yeah, definitely for sure. When I was out there today doing my thing, I got rained on pretty hard. It was not too good. Matt, no, Libra hater, come on, dude. Is that your name this week, dude? No, we're not doing the whole massive this, that, and the third. All right, we're not dragging it. What evidence were you lacking? Evidence that shows that God exists is what I was lacking. If that, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that because I get that a lot. It's like, what evidence were you lacking? Like, what evidence was I lacking that made me leave Christianity, which is contingent on the belief that God exists? Maybe I was lacking evidence that God exists. I don't know. Trump fired a lot of weather professionals, so now we are not able to prepare for storms as well. Oof. Oofity, oof, oof, oof. I'm in Michigan, though, so. And if you're in Texas, I mean, GG. GG. If you're like in the South, my heart goes out to you. No pun intended. Trump said I'd have a fun time running against Obama if we could run for a third time. It's laughable because Obama would win by a landslide. He would. I would vote for Obama in a second. I'd vote for Obama. I wouldn't even think about it. It'd be like reflex. I'd vote for Obama as quick as I pull my hand away from like a burning stove. God is kind in the book. No, God is king. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. No, God's not real. Apparently, Trump is fighting for a third term despite it being unconstitutional. Yeah, this is what we voted for. I guess I say we. I didn't do that shit, dude. I didn't vote for this shit. Beside the point, though, what made you decide to leave Christianity? The lack of evidence for the Christian God being real. That's why I left. That's why I left. Weren't you a Christian yesterday? That was I would. That was an April Fool's joke, man. It was a pretty I would hope that was a pretty apparent April Fool's joke. I was saying some shit, man. I called Trump Donald John President. I was hoping that gave it away, but no. I said you're slow. I intentionally spelled it incorrectly. I would have hoped that gave it away, but nah. Um, yeah, yeah. It was a joke. I was joking. Whenever you see me on here as a Christian, it's 100% of the time a joke. I can promise you. Do you think you'd go back? No, I don't think I'd go back honestly, because I'm pretty atheistic about it now because it's like people describe God as being something that doesn't have to abide by the laws of our reality, that's outside of our reality, outside of matter, outside of logic itself, outside of space, outside of time, just outside of everything that we can use to verify it, right? So if that's the case, it's not something that we can know one way or the other. So I'm not going back without evidence, so it's not happening. Mahomes, I'm gonna go ahead and get you on out of here for a bit, my boy. You can go ahead and take a little breather, get yourself some coffee. Appreciate you, but you can get out of here with that spam. Depression House, thank you for the follow. A felon breaking the law. Who would have thought? Yep, 34 counts, by the way. Do you think the Bible's historically accurate? Absolutely not. I think it's references like some people that existed, like Pilate and Herod, but I mean that's about it. I'd say if I had to fit the Bible in a category, it'd be like historical fiction. Historical fiction. Like fiction that's based off of history, but not, history itself. Like what's a good example? What's a good example? Inglorious Bastards, the Quentin Tarantino movie. Y'all seen it? How it's obviously it's a it's fiction, but takes place during the World War II. I don't. Have you read the Quran? I have read the Quran, and if I say what I truly feel about it, I would get banned. But yeah, I don't have positive opinion about the Quran. Sorry. What made you become an atheist? The lack of evidence for God is what made me an atheist. I looked for evidence. The evidence sucked. That's why I left. It's not April Fool's Day. Indeed, it's not April Fool's Day anymore. I'm back to normal. What's the Quran? It's the holy book of Islam. The quote unquote perfect inspired word of God given through its messenger Muhammad, the final prophet. I've read the whole thing front to back. 1 to I don't know. The last surah was like what 15 verses long. It was a real short one. I forget what it is, but yeah, I've read the whole thing front to back. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Do you believe that we came from apes? Taxonomically speaking, we are apes. We're not different from apes. It's a category. It's not a. It's not like we are. Chimpanzees and then randomly evolved into humans. We share a common ancestor, but we all fall under the great ape family of like hairless primates. Not hairless. Tailless primates. If you had evidence, then why would it be called faith? I think defining the word faith isn't going to help you here because like, why is faith useful? You telling me God has such a hard on for faith that he can't give evidence for its existence so more people can be Christian? Seems odd to me. Just have faith in the thing, bro. Oh, you want evidence for the thing that you're dedicating your life to? Yeah, just, if we got that, then what's the point of faith? Correct. What is the point of faith? What's the point? What's the point of faith? I've seen God in my dream. I've seen so much supernatural stuff, and it's crazy to explain. It's funny you say dreams. I saw a bunch of spiders in my dream last night. I had a nightmare. It was suckish, really bad. Saw a bunch of spiders, um, like 3 4 feet tall, tarantulas running away from them. It was a wild dream. I don't think we should go base reality about around what we see in our dreams. You will see evidence. Then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We're not different because we have the same DNA, but because we have the same creator. No, we don't have the same creator. We evolved from the same common ancestor called Luca. Not That's the last universal common ancestor. Is what it stands for. It's what it's known as, at least. As Trumpers, I say it's pinned on them. I tried to think outside the box. Maybe some are pinned in, but yeah, 34 is just crazy. If somebody's accused of 34 different things, I mean, if I'm being really really generous, 17 of them are false. I'm not giving more than half up. Like even still 17 for a sitting president. Come on, what are we doing? No, my name's not Evan. If the earth was a ball, would we would all be touching balls, which is gay. Come on, Marco. What the fuck, dude? What do you mean by that? No, my name's not Evan. Name is not Evan. We weren't some primordial slime. Primordial slime that crawled to the edge of the earth and became monkeyfied. You're correct. We aren't a primordial slime that crawled to the edge of the earth and became monkeyfied. Luckily for both of us, that's not what evolution claims. My name's not Dwayne, dude. It starts with a D, but it's not Dwayne. What's up, sir? How you doing? What would happen if God got rid of sin rather than burn humans? These are the questions that used to keep me up at night. Not anymore though. What evidence do you believe is fake in the Bible? I mean, people don't rise from the dead. If you're a woman and you're not inseminated, you can't have kids. Because it kind of requires some semination. You get me? People don't rise from the dead. The earth wasn't made in 6 days. Uh, what else in there? Men weren't made from dust. Women weren't made from bones. Snakes don't talk. Donkeys don't talk. If somebody's inside the belly of a fish for 3 days, they're gonna get digested. They're done for. What else? The earth didn't flood. Yeah, there's a lot of different things in there. My name's not Jamal either. What the? I feel like that's and Demarcus. I feel like that's some. I feel like that's racially motivated. The Hugh is the Hugh. Jojo, you know better. My name's not the Hugh, man. What kind of name is the Hugh? The Hugh. What's up, Mama D's? What's your question? You're atheist too? Sup? Sup? What's good? What is up? who was listening to the conversation between God and Satan in the book of Job. And you know, another funny one, who was able to write down the Genesis account when only two people existed? We have facts to prove the earth wasn't made in 6 days. Yeah, we also have facts that say the earth wasn't made 6,000 years ago. So, I mean, Bible automatically on its face. Where do we go when we die? I think that we cease to exist personally. I think that your ability to experience things just kind of dies with your brain. Like before you were born, basically. I would say blackness, but even blackness is a thing. I think there's literal nothingness. There's no soul. There's no this, that, or the third. I think that our minds are a direct result of our brain working, and so when our brain stops working, by extension, our mind stops working. Turns you atheist if you don't mind me asking. I looked for evidence, and the evidence sucked. That's why I deconstructed. That's the long and short of it. But the whole story, it's like that's a video on my profile that I should really pin again. Have you heard of the stories from different cultures that claim that there was a worldwide flood? Then they got it wrong. We through geology, through physics, through a bunch of different things, we can verify that the Earth could not have flooded. Like, I'll explain just a few ways we know it just really quickly. For the whole world to flood, it would need more water than the entire Earth has on it. There's only so much water in the oceans. If we literally melted all of the ice caps and took all of the water vapor in our atmosphere and just like rained it down, and then so we changed the laws of physics to where water can't evaporate anymore, and then like even if we were like, okay, let's just make gravity get rid of gravity for all water inside the planet, and then just made it spurt up out of the planet, it still wouldn't be even close to as much water as we need for a whole worldwide flood. So it's verifiably could not have happened. Here to support the fellow atheists? Hell yeah. Star Wars is better though, but hell yeah. What's up, Trek Strat? How you doing? I love water. I love water too. Do you know how much water there is? Not enough to flood the entire planet to 15 cubits above the highest mountaintops. Even above or below doesn't matter. Oh, you're still spamming? All right, go get you on out of here. You waited 5 minutes, dude. I admire the commitment, but yeah, you can get on out of here. My name's not Diddy, dude. Come on, man. Ice caps melting is already going to flood Florida in a few decades. Maybe Florida, maybe some coastal cities, sure, but not the entire planet, especially not to the highest mountaintops. Plus, the heat compression from like the amount of water that would have been touching the land would have completely melted the planet. We would not have been able to grow plants back on it. There are plants that we have that are over 4,000 years old, so that disproves the flood. There are species that are in the Americas and in Australia that could not have swam to the Middle East and then swam back to their nations. So that disproves it. And just talking about the ark story, like the dimensions in the ark could not have been enough to fit like not 4 million. However many species we have, like two of each, it just wouldn't have happened. There wouldn't even have been enough space for the food necessary to feed them. White guy Steve, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Wouldn't have been enough space for just the waste. Wouldn't have been enough space for just the food. They wouldn't have been able to separate the carnivores from all of the other animals. What else? What else? What else is wrong with it? Oh, there were only 8 people that survived it apparently. But there's over 1,500 different ethnicities of people that couldn't have happened. Even like all the incest aside, like that's gross. But besides it being gross, like even looking at it logically and scientifically, could not have happened. Also, not enough room to have two of every animal. Yeah, exactly. My name's not Dalton. Are we talking about Moses? No, we're talking about Noah. Noah. My name is not Delilah, dude. Come on, man. Do you believe in microevolution? Microevolution and macroevolution aren't really like scientifically relevant terms, you know? Do I believe that things can evolve different traits and mutate different traits, and endogenous retroviruses can cause different traits in species? Absolutely. So in that way, I believe in microevolution, but if you accept that things can evolve, then you also, by extension, accept quote unquote macroevolution. If you think the that species are over a few thousand years old, which we know. Middle name is Jamal. My first name is Desmond. I think I have to. What's I want to make a joke. I want to make a joke, but half of me says not to make the joke. I mean being literal when I say that. I'm like half black. Really think when we die we come back reborn and the memories erased. That's fun to think about. I think that gets into like some soul issues though, or like some essential issues, like what's our essences. How do we verify a soul? How do we verify the mode that it comes back? How does it explain population increase? Are new souls created? If so, how? Bunch of different things. Bunch of different things. What's your favorite Transformer? Probably Starscream. I think Starscream was pretty funny. He was so incompetent, you know. Just he was so funny. I love Starscream. My name's not Darnell. What do you think about the LDS Church? I don't have positive opinions about it. TBH. Joseph Smith was also a massive racist. Do you believe in the existence of a soul? No, I don't believe in souls personally. I don't think we have them. I don't think we have anything that we can't see that's responsible for our ability to experience things personally. Do you deal with teetering faith? Nowadays, no, I don't deal with it. I used to though. Up until about, I mean, I deconstructed 10 years ago completely, but I'd say I still have like lapses in and of like, okay, surely this particular thing happening, has to have some higher than me explanation for it, right? I thought that way for like another maybe year or so afterward, but not enough to do away with all that I learned when I deconstruct it. Promise you, LDS Church will change your life. No, thank you. I'm good on that. Favorite pizza topping? Hmm. Like individual. If I could only get one thing on a pizza, I'd get like the old world pepperoni, like the really thick cut pepperoni that turns into little bowls when you bake it. The good stuff. But if I got the option for like two toppings, I would get bacon and jalapeno. Mushrooms are good. The issue with mushrooms though, it's like fresh, they're great on pizza. I love them on pizza, but a lot of them use like canned mushroom and they don't cook them long enough to like get that like mushroom juice water out of it, so then like they just get too mushy. It's kind of ugh. Why'd you leave Christianity? Lack of evidence is why I left personally. Atheists don't want to believe in Jesus because they want to continue doing devious things. It's kind of funny that somebody who's a Christian says that because, like, there's a bunch of literal pastors right now, maybe not right now, probably at least a few right now, right, that are out there doing awful shit to kids. You know, it's I don't know if that's the route we want to go. If I wanted to just do devious shit, I'd be a Christian and just ask God to forgive me. But saying like, oh, you don't want to believe in Jesus because you want to do all this bad shit, while there's literal pastors out there like, I don't want to make a joke out of it because like I have a like with dark shit like that, I have a tendency to like humorize it, but it's not, there's nothing funny about it. There's literal pastors that you trust to teach you the Bible doing awful shit. So I don't know if that's the route we want to go now. Those aren't two Christians that are doing awful things to kids. They're fake. Oh yeah, that's fun. Yep. Only true Christians are the ones that do nothing good. I mean, nothing bad. Yeah. For sure. By all means. Yep. Absolutely. Poco Nam. Yeah, absolutely. You heard it here first, folks. Christians can't do literally anything bad whatsoever. And if they do anything bad, they're not Christian. I guess. I suppose. Ugh. Anyway. Kayla, thank you for the rose. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Not Christian, but I imagine them for comfort. Imagine what? What do you imagine? How do you think the Earth was made? Not made per se. I think it formed naturally over the course of like billions and billions of years after gravity caused I don't know. Look up protoplanetary disks and look up accretion disks and look up gravitate like gravity and how it works. It's basically that. Conservative Christians also support women teachers, grooming pupils. Yeah, exactly. Christians support a lot of awful things when you really think about it. Like if I bring up Leviticus 25:44 through 46, a lot of them will rather say like, oh, context, Old Testament, you're reading it wrong. It actually means this, rather than admitting what it says clear as day. Do you believe the universe began to exist? Personally, no. I think that the universe has always existed in some form. I don't think it went from not existing as a construct to existing. I think it's always been something out there. What's your opinion on the Church of Christ? Are you talking about no, you're not talking about LDS. You talk the Church of Christ. I've never heard of it, honestly. I know it can be so hard, but try to come back to Christ. I'm good on that. I think I'll pass. Thank you. I imagine gods. I imagine a higher being for comfort from existentialism rather than nihilism. That's fair. Nihilism can get a little heavy sometimes for sure. I recently had I wouldn't call it an episode, but I recently had a little a little rough spot where I was like, man, nothing really fucking matters. Damn. Then I got over it because I was like, oh well, nothing matters. Why do I think it has to? Do you have proof of in between species? That's not how speciation works. I would look up how speciation works rather than like get your science from a pastor. Let's see here. Okay, sweet toothless wonder. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. It revolves around faith, not proof. It's like saying the moon doesn't exist since we don't see it. I mean, I can quite. It's 12:45 a.m. for me right now. I can literally go outside right now and look at the moon if I wanted to. It's probably like storm clouds, so probably not this second, but yeah, just because something isn't visible doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You know, I can say that about God too, but then like there's proof of the moon even when you can't see it. Not counting the like many hours throughout the day that you can see it. There's no such thing for God though. Are you Christian though? I'm not a Christian, and I'm not Buddhist either. Somebody asked if I was a Buddhist. No, I'm not a Buddhist personally. I hate rain. I love the rain. I love it. I don't like getting rained on too much anymore, but when I was younger, I used to play in the rain a lot. Do I play Wordle? No, I don't play Wordle. I play like Call of Duty. I play some GeoGuessr, and I play like 8 ball pool. So I've been kind of getting back into that recently, but that's about it. Thoughts on the Big Bang Theory? The Big Bang happened, and it's, I mean, if we want to get technical, it's still happening because it's just describing the expansion of the universe. And so we can verify that the universe is still expanding. God is the only one holding up the moons in the universe. Pokonam, that's a silly thing to think and say. Sillier to think, but that's kind of a silly thing to say. God's just up there just like, gotta hold this moon up here. No, that's not how that works. If God were self change and now would it exist? I mean, we can define God to be anything that we can verify, and sure enough, just call it God. Sure. What's on my desk right now? My wallet. You know, I got this wallet in my hand right now. I could just say this is God, and then boom, God's real because here's God that I define to be my wallet, right? But when we're talking about God, people have a conception of it that's far different than just like change and self and now and all these other things. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. All right, let's bring a guest up. It's been half an hour. Let's bring one. Let's bring up a guest. Let's see what we got here. Johnny, thank you for your patience. Appreciate it.
Yo, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing. How's your? How old are you for TikTok purposes?
I'm 21.
All right, what's up, man?
Cool. Yeah, well, I mean, my first question is going to be asked, why did you fall out of faith? But I've seen that's been a pretty common question that you've answered.
Yeah.
So, my second one's going to be, where are you from in Michigan?
Southeast, southeast,
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah.
in 45-ish minutes outside of Detroit, somewhere in there.
Nice. Yeah, I grew up in like Grand Lake, Fenton area, then moved over to Grand Rapids.
That's
But
a yeah,
I'm
that's a
not in
little
Florida
while
right
away.
now, but
Yeah, I've yeah, it's southeast area. I've rotated between, not rotated between. I've lived here all my life except for like a period of a couple of years where I lived in Cleveland, Ohio.
nice. Nice. Yeah. Cool. Guess we could just get into it. I guess first I want to maybe get a basis, get a couple things that we could agree on.
Sure, why not?
And like I'm not like I'm gonna try my best to stay as like non-Christian sect as possible. Just trying to attack it from a pretty wide viewpoint of Christianity as the Bible, because I feel like me arguing for like one like really specific belief maybe won't get us that far, for either of us.
Sure.
Um, Sure. So I know I asked you in the comments whether or not you believe that the universe began to exist,
Hmm.
and you gave an answer. It was like, maybe not in the sense of there was nothing and then there was something.
Hmm.
So is there a sense that maybe you do believe that it began to exist, like maybe the expansion of the universe?
As far as the Big Bang claims, the
Yeah.
expansion doesn't describe like the beginning of space or the beginning
Yeah.
of time or the
Yeah.
beginning of energy. It's just like universe was hot and dense, and the laws
Mhm.
of physics were this way, and then it expanded from this point, and this is where our current laws of physics started making sense. Before that, I
Sure.
think there was something. People maybe think it's quantum fluctuations. People think it's
Yeah.
maybe like a cyclical model. People think it's God. So, but I
Yeah.
think the construct of the universe itself has always been around.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's definitely a good answer. And I think this is just one of those things that like we can never truly know,
Yeah,
you know,
I would
like
agree.
like what was there in the beginning. And I think like this is what makes it like a pretty hard conversation for us. Because from my viewpoint, just to kind of fill you in a little bit on what I believe about the universe, I believe this research is a little bit old. I think the most recent article that I have is from MIT Science or Department of Physics, and actually Halloween of last year. But I know there's multiple other 20 to be specific major research projects that agree that the universe, as in matter, time, space, and energy, um, has had a beginning. And I know that is one alternative, is that it has always been eternal, and I think that very well could be true. However, I think that the evidence and the research points to a different answer, actually.
One quick second, I'll pull it up for you real quick. Pull up the
Yeah, you're
source.
good. I was gonna say, yeah, like I'm just here to learn, man.
'Cause it's a common misconception, so I don't blame anyone for believing it. But it's some people cite like either outdated science or they cite like just like philosophical
Yeah,
So let me pull it up real quick. Show my screen, display capture. Where you at? There you are. Settings. Make sure you're getting the right monitor. This one.
sure.
Apply. Show. Okay, let's get you up here.
Cool.
It's a little too zoomed in. Wait 1 second. Get you right
Hmm.
there. Okay. And here's a misconceptions article of the Big Bang article.
Yeah,
And
what's the link to that? Just curious.
it's wikipedia.com slash like check real quick.
Or like what the title of the page is.
Wikipedia.org slash like Big Bang, big underscore bang.
Big
And
underscore bang. Cool.
yeah, it'll have this. It's what I'm looking for, the source at the end of the sentence. But one of the most common misconceptions about the Big Bang model is that it fully explains the origin of the universe. However, the Big Bang model
Sure.
does not describe how energy, time, and space were caused, but rather it describes the emergence of the present universe from an ultra dense
Yep.
and high temperature initial state. And then the source for that would be.
I said
Uh,
looking at some.
Here it is. Brief answers to cosmic questions, Universe Forum, Cambridge, Harvard, Smithsonian. It's basically Harvard, Smithsonian, Cambridge, like they came together. And
Cool. Yeah, like mid 2010s, late
yeah,
2009. Cool. Yeah, and I think that very well is something that could be true. Like obviously we can't prove it,
yeah,
and I guess like I'm not discounting any of the research that they did, and I'm sure that they had their own evidence for it.
mhm,
And I guess where I came to my conclusion is, reading over these, because I would say I had a pretty similar background to you. Like high school, like I didn't really truly mean what Christianity meant, and that kind of led me to some pretty, I'm going to say, wrong churches. And then I'm not going to call it deconstruction, just because I don't want to like mischaracterize, like what you're doing.
yeah,
But I started to have a falling out of faith, and I started looking, maybe in Islam and Judaism and Hinduism, and really the reason why I came back to Christianity was for some of the logical evidence towards there being a God. And of course, like like the something cannot come from nothing. Like my whole argument would be that based off of these 20 major research projects, including the most recent one, the MIT physics college, with their research in 2000 October 31st, 2024, kind of agreeing that the universe, the matter, time, space, and energy, hasn't always been eternal. That would be my belief for that. And then basically the logical uh, pipeline that I follow, just so you can kind of understand how I'm understanding this right now, is so like whatever begins to exist is going to have a cause for its existence.
mhm,
And because these major articles agree on the universe beginning to exist, that means that the universe has to have a cause for its existence. And I believe that the most likely reason for that was from some sort of God. Like right now, I'm not arguing specifically for Christianity. I mean, I'll get to that maybe a little bit later on in the conversation if time allows. Um, but I think that the first step for me to come back to faith was first like realizing that logically, with where everything came from, and then later on I'll probably touch on morality. It just makes sense for there to be a god. It makes more sense for there to be a god rather than not be a god.
All right. So what's your source on the matter, time, space, and these things having a definitive cause, or like not existing and then existing?
Yeah, I'll give you the first piece of evidence. Let me see. I just had it pulled up. Come on, I need Control H. I think I exited out of it to go to the Wikipedia article.
No, you're good. Take your time.
Yeah.
Really quickly, it's philosophy that convinces me. Also, what's up, Pookie? What's up, Pookie? Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. It's philosophy
Yeah.
that convinces me. It's uh exact opposite for me personally.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think we're maybe going to get that far on the other thing just because it's a little bit hard to actually prove. Hold on, I'm
The,
trying to find it.
the morality
So
one's
like
a
if you want to move on to that we can, but yeah, I'll give you I'll give you my resources just to have. I think
okay.
it's a good thing.
If you want to move on from it and just send those over whenever my DMs are open.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I'll just tell you the title. It's at MIT Department of Physics, and the title of the research is "It All Started with the Big Bang," and they do acknowledge the possibility of there being like that. I know it's kind of a weird term, but primordial soup. Um, like I know, like you may not agree with that terminology, but they do acknowledge um, that possibility. So this isn't definitive proof, but they also acknowledge the possibility of there being nothing, just for the fact that there is no evidence that points either way.
Yeah, primordial soup's an more odd one because people used to usually tend like that's
They
more
misuse
so
it
referring to like
a
the
lot.
state of the world, like the
Yeah,
planet itself before like what allowed for abiogenesis. So
yeah,
rather than like the universe itself, like pre Big Bang expansion.
yeah.
Let's see what we got here.
I say it's not
Control
like a crazy big read.
F. Let's see here. Indicated space time film. I'll go for time first. Time's probably the most important of space. See here, closer to the time of the Big Bang, further in time, early times, backwards in time, space time, blended with time, uh, curvature in space time, curvature in space time. That the space time is in singularity past before the Big Bang. Space and time appear at the Big Bang singularity. So let's see what we got here. Penrose received the Nobel Prize in 2020. Hawking passed away in 2018. And Nobel Prizes are not awarded posthumously. Posthumously, space and time appear at the Big Bang singularity. So, the question: what happens before the Big Bang are not well defined. As far as science can tell, there is no before. The Big Bang is the onset of time. However, nature is not accurately described by general relativity alone, even though the latter has been around for more than 100 years and has not been disproven. General relativity cannot describe atoms, nuclear fusion, or radioactivity. These phenomena are instead addressed by quantum theory. Theories from classical physics, such as relativity, are deterministic. This means that certain initial conditions have a definite outcome and are therefore absolutely predictive. Quantum theory, on the other hand, is probabilistic. This means that certain initial conditions in the universe can have multiple outcomes. So, what I'm gleaning from this, and do correct me if I'm wrong on it, but
Yeah,
it's still saying that time might have started at the point of the Big Bang expansion as we know it, but there still would be
yeah,
some sort of quantum cause of the universe beforehand. It's not saying that, like, how do I best describe it? It goes
yeah,
from temporal, from a discussion of temporal, like, like a temporal discussion to a
yeah,
probabilistic discussion rather than
yeah,
just like, um, everything that we know and can verify started exactly at the point of the Big Bang. I mean, it's
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I'm at the part of the article that's right below, where is it? If I just say the part with the galaxies, you
Interstellar
will know what I'm
photo.
talking about. But yeah, there's a part with some galaxies that says the universe cooled as it continued to expand, and then it's right below like the CMBR model, above the CMBR model.
Oh, okay.
How far down is this? About halfway down. There should be like a purple like explosion picture, and then like it's two below that.
Purple. Yeah, yeah, I see it. Two below it. Okay.
Okay, it's right above the CMB, like the one that's shaped like an oval, like the paragraphs in between that. It's what I just read.
Yeah, yeah. Um, wait, you said, oh, okay, two paragraphs above,
Yes.
nature's not accurately described, that paragraph?
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, the one before it does
Oh,
say,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, questions of what happens before the Big Bang are not well defined as far as science. Yeah, from that part.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
from in theory, it's those two paragraphs. Like I guess those two are what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess, like the reason why I'm citing this is that, as far as I know, this is the most recent research study from like a really well defined department, MIT Department of Physics, and it's still something as indecisive. So I mean,
Yeah,
I see something as the evidence of there being something before, just as likely as, I mean, I'm not calling it a coin flip. I
yeah.
feel like that'd be intellectually dishonest, but I don't see how that is evidence against,
Oh no,
there being nothing, or the lack of being evidence of
oh
there
no.
being nothing before.
I agree. I think that there was something before the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Whether it was matter, the evidence doesn't isn't out on that.
Hmm.
Whether it was quantum foam, evidence isn't out on that. Whether it was a god figure, evidence isn't out on that. So I am ultimately agnostic about it, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but I do believe there was something. I just wouldn't call it something God, or say that it had the express intent to create the universe at in the way that, like, in a way of expanding the universe from the point of the Big
Yeah.
Bang.
Sure. Yeah, and that's why like I just kind of want to bring this up first because like generally when I've done it in the past, it just always leads to this dead end.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, like your opinion on it because I do feel like that's a big starting point.
It's a good
For some
one.
of the
It's
other.
the like I say, as far like what the argument that you use is, like, philosophically speaking, it's called the Kalam cosmological argument,
Yeah.
and it's one of the better ones. I feel like a lot of the arguments for God makes their what like start from like a baseless presupposition, or start from like a logical fallacy or something like that.
Yeah.
I at least give it credit that it starts from an unknown variable. So it's like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
and I mean, I feel like that's like a big point to start because kind of after that, you normally get into like the omni properties
yeah,
of God, and I know a big one that people always bring up is, well, gravity. Gravity would be an omni property. It's something that's repeatable, observable,
mm,
and like I'm sure we might get into that a little bit later. I mean, I don't want to take up all your time. I do have an 8 a.m. tomorrow, but still have to chat. So I guess I know you kind of talked a little bit about like some morality, and I know that I brought it up also
mhm.
previously. Um, I was wondering what your moral views are on if there is definitively like even just one moral constant or more, or if morality is completely subjective.
I think when we talk about moral constants, it can get a little bit murky
Yeah.
because
Oh, for sure.
with I feel like because a lot of people's and you seem to be very intellectually honest so far, so I don't want to accuse you of it, obviously, but some people do tend to do is like try to hear subjective morality and then say, okay, so you think everything's good, or you think everything's bad, or you think that
Oh,
everything's just
yeah. I'm not gonna
ultimately
say
like,
that.
yeah. I'd say there are things that are absolutely bad to me personally, like, for instance,
Sure.
pedophilia. I think that's absolutely bad, and that I don't think there will ever be a an instance where such a thing would be justified, right? Like theft is different
100%.
because it's like, okay, maybe if you're
Yeah, like
um
steal a loaf of bread for your
steal a
friends
loaf
and
of
family.
bread, or honestly, I'm
Uh,
a when it comes to theft, I'm a little bit even looser than that. If I'm at the self checkout, I'm gonna tip myself. I'm sorry, I'm not scanning
yeah.
every single item. No, but beside the point.
Yeah.
So when
5 finger discount.
when we talk about subjective morality, ultimately
Hmm.
what it just means is that what we decide is morally good, bad, right, wrong, evil, good, all these different things have to come down to our own individual intuitions. And so for me,
Sure.
seeing how we have multiple moral disagreements with each other, with different religions, different cultures,
Of course.
how things like our mental state or our circumstances can change what we find morally permissible or not. It
Yeah.
lends more to morality being subjective for me, and at least
Sure.
against morality being like baked into us by one being that created all of us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I definitely think that you hit a good point. I think that a lot of it does come from. I mean, I know the Christian term for it's gonna be heart posture. I'm sure
Mhm.
you're kind of sick of hearing that, but like going out, like maybe having to steal something, like for the greater good, and
Yeah.
a lot of it does come down to intentions. But something I thought was interesting that you said is about. I'm gonna correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you said moral intuition.
Yeah, I think there is such a thing as moral intuition for sure. I just think
Yeah.
there's
So
a.
where do you?
Oh, no,
Sorry.
continue. I'll let you ask the
Um,
question because
yeah, just gonna ask. So where do you think that moral intuition comes from?
I think evolutionarily it makes a lot of sense for for us to
Sure.
have a general for us to select for empathy in that it would allow for us to be in situations that would allow for our species to continue and thrive. Like take for instance
Yeah.
murder. Um
Mm-hmm.
if we don't select for not wanting to murder each other, then
Mm-hmm.
we don't have it baked into us, quote unquote, to not murder each other. And so what happens after that? Species can't thrive as well. We're more open
Yeah.
to being predated on if we're talking like before we had before we had ways of like keeping animals at bay, or things like theft.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to establish
Mm-hmm.
community with each other, if we want to ensure our survival best, it's best that we commune resources together and make sure that people can't starve to death, for instance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. Build trust and
yeah,
like work together and
exactly.
try and work through things.
Yes.
Sure. So how do you determine the value of someone's I'm gonna say like value of what they give back to a society?
I don't know if
Like if you were to not murder them, and like sure that might be something that we learn, but like we learn to not murder people that we meet because they help us survive, right? But then it turns out we don't murder someone and they might be a drain on physical resources.
yeah, I don't know if there's like an objective or like a concrete way that somebody could use to define that value. I think it comes down to
Yeah,
individual just the way our individual minds are wired, honestly, that we
sure.
determine if we're utilitarian about things, if we're more pragmatic about such a thing. I don't know. It just comes
Yeah,
down person to person. I wouldn't like if you're asking me in general, I mean, I don't know if the answer's relevant, but just to be graceful and like give an answer anyway. I don't know. It's that's just to be completely honest. I don't know. I think it's
yeah, of
just
course.
because it's situation to situation. So I don't know if there's even a
Yeah,
concrete way to figure that out.
yeah, and this is why I think that the moral argument for God at least was one of the most convincing for me is because like I used to think the same way, and I'm not going to call myself like a moral subjectivist or whatever, um, but I would look and I would see from like let's call it like a utilitarian standpoint, like we don't see them cutting people off who are a drain on their physical resources that like we would see as a byproduct of evolution
Yep.
and those who help us do things, because there's some people who possibly just aren't physically capable to like objectively help our species. Like some of those may be born with certain illnesses, certain elders after a certain point. I mean, I know like now we have like the whole, oh, like pull the plug or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think those are still things that are, like no matter where you come from, unless like something's truly sick in your head, I don't I believe that there is something in us that stops us from maybe cutting those people out who are just objectively drain on our advancement as a species.
I think that we can afford to think that way now. And I'm not saying I don't even know if I'm not too keen, not keen. Really quickly before I start, Magnolia, how you doing today? How's your day going? Um, but back to it. I think we can afford to think that way now that we've created a polite society, one where there's
Yeah,
enough to go around, like hypothetically at least,
yeah,
enough to go around. There's less of a need to pool resources.
hmm,
We've kind of got agriculture down to a point where we could still hold people to this to this idea that they're valuable enough to feed and to make sure that they're cared for all the way through their life past the point that they're able to work.
hmm,
I think with earlier civilizations, I mean, it's as far as I know about maybe the beginning of species or even as far back as our previous ancestor, that it's the way that they
yeah,
did things though. If people
for
couldn't
sure.
quite give to the rest of the pack, the rest of the tribe, you know,
Hmm,
for them. So
yeah,
But I think that now we've kind of gotten it down to a point that we can feed everybody, that we are free to think more complexly about people, then it'll be a lot less ingrained in us to be so I don't even want to go so far as to call it utilitarian, but to be as Machiavellian about it, I guess.
Yeah, 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 and I definitely see where you're coming from. However, I guess the only flaw in that logic that I would see is, like sure, like we've grown from what you're saying, and correct me if I'm understanding you wrong, but as we've grown technologically, we've been able to gain these more, I'm just going to call them advanced feelings, but I don't see a possibility for those feelings to even come about if it is looking at it from like an objective standpoint. Because I mean, like, no matter how you look at it, like some of those people still are a drain on our tangible objective uh advancement as a society and as a human race.
I think I'll do like a super duper rudimentary rundown of the timeline.
Yeah, sure, sure.
We evolved. Let's just
Mhm.
speak as Homo sapiens here. We
Yeah,
evolved.
sure.
Um, you know, selected for things evolutionarily like empathy to make sure that we could, take care of each other, ensure that we don't get eaten by tigers or some shit. I don't know, but
Hmm.
and in addition, we try to make sure that there are enough resources to go around. First, select against things like wanting to steal from each other, wanting to steal from the common,
Hmm.
stockpile or whatever you want to call it, and
Yeah.
then also wanting to get down the process of being able to make a way for resources for everybody. So that would be like perfecting agriculture, perfecting like how we raise animals and things like that. And so
Yeah.
before we got to that point, obviously we want to make sure that the ones who are able to hunt, the ones who are able, to grow food, the ones who are able to provide something that would ensure the rest of our survival are the ones who are able to live. And so after we perfected that, you know,
Hmm.
what's the use? And so, I'll backtrack a little bit. And with that
Yeah.
came the ones who were less able to, lights out for them. And then
Yeah.
so what happens after we perfect that process? Okay, we got more than enough animals to go around. We got more than enough food to eat. We got more than enough plants, and we
Hmm.
can properly shelter each other and things like that. And so,
Yeah.
what then becomes the use of harming these people that doing away with these people that can't do
Yeah.
for the rest of us?
Yeah.
And so it just became irrelevant to do so at that point. And so with it being irrelevant comes us thinking about these people in the same way that we thought about everybody else who is able to provide
Hmm.
and who can give something. And so that
Yeah.
evolves over time into there not being a delineation at all for people who can provide and people who can't. I mean, I guess in some people you could say that is kind of why, social
Yeah.
security is getting axed,
Yeah.
um but yeah, that's just like a super rudimentary rundown of the timeline.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, I understand that, and I could definitely see how, like it can make sense that um, technology might be moving faster than our ability to like expand as a human race, like reproduce. Because I guess my counter to that would be, well, the point of having these more supplies, like we call them in excess, but they're only in excess. Um, for the number of people who are there right now, right? I could see it as being a motivating factor to maybe just reproduce more, and expand our species.
I mean, reproduce more. I mean, that's kind of how other species, like say lobsters and fish, that's why they have so many babies at once, because
Yeah.
they can't. It's impossible to take care of. They're going to get predated on anyway.
Yeah.
I think that would then just fly in the face of the our reproductive strategy, which is we are able to take care of our kids. We are able to once we have them, we're able to
Mhm.
like actually watch over them, rear them up, and make sure that they can contribute to the world around them. So
Yeah.
um, with only with 9 months in between being able to hypothetically have kids or not, I guess 10.
Yeah.
Ovaries are still not working all that great, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, and that's where, like I definitely see, like our technology when it comes to like managing like our food sources might have, like grown faster than our ability to reproduce because of that nine month waiting period. And then that kind of leads me into my next question, which is, um, well, like the logical explanation I see for our disability to reproduce would just be, like adultery.
uh, elaborate a little.
Yeah. So, um, like we want to, sure, of course, be able to take care of like our young, I'm just going to say like of like our kids.
Mm.
And part of that comes from the food resource. And um like as you were saying, like as it becomes, like now we have an excess, then it gives us the ability to maybe start taking care of those who are drained on society. But if you're looking at it from the standpoint of um progressing the species, if you're coming at it from like a biological standpoint, then we would always put progressing and expanding our species ahead of okay, now we can start taking care of the people who are a drain on the society. So why wouldn't why is it wrong for me back in the day, uh to have all these multiple wives? And like I do know, like there are maybe some instances in the Bible, where that has been something that maybe has been commanded or maybe has been taught. um but I don't see it in excess. And I feel like that really would just destroy our whole concept of love as it is right now.
Well, I mean, you're kind of hitting the nail on the head a little bit because monogamy's a fairly new thing. The you
Yeah.
you kind of walked right into the mating strategy of humans as it is because
Yeah.
polygamy was the norm back then. It was
Hmm.
expected even, so there was one person who's able to do the best for society around them, so they have the best genes. Naturally, they get the ones who get to have the kids at all or the most kids,
Sure.
and so yeah, I mean, monogamy in and of itself is, I mean, very very new. We're talking like past maybe couple few thousand years even, but
Yeah.
yeah, so
But
that's
why is that?
why it's monogamy new.
Yeah.
I mean,
Why
because
is that some new thing that has just come up?
I don't know. It's there's partially it is religious. It's the reason we still marry each other. It's still and by
Sure.
marry I mean like
Yeah.
make it a religious thing. But the
Yeah. Yeah.
reason that the religions would even be able to come up with such a thing from an atheist standpoint, I don't know. I could imagine there's got to be a few. A fancy way of saying I don't know right now. Just let me be
No, yeah,
intellectually
you're good,
honest.
man.
So but yeah, I would say if I had to take a wild guess, I mean, with the ability to provide for one another, with the ability to not put such an emphasis on only allowing the quote unquote best among us to be the one to reproduce, it would
Hmm.
come with us the ability to actually give like flesh out our feelings for each other with one individual person. But again, I'm
Sure.
talking out my tuchus on that point in particular. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And that was really like the hardest pill for me to swallow, when I was starting to do my research into like moral relativism, is love, right? Because like as much as I wanted to believe that love was, like this inherent idea in my body, when I was doing more research into relativism, you find out that it's just a byproduct of evolution. And like that might be really harsh, but like you learn that was created only for the progress of our species. And I mean, I just can't see how that's a um uh how it's like a productive view of what love is, instead of, like, sure, like now we've been able to find like maybe some of the positives of it. But like if you're a relativist, there really are no positives to love, because it causes you to spend money on those who you love, who which like you could use for yourself, like money on people who you might never know, or money on relatives who are never going to change, but you're still there to help them out because you love them. And to me, I think that's just a really hard question, to try and answer from a relativist standpoint.
I think that love. I mean, we hit the nail on the head. I mean, we can verify that love as we feel it is evolutionarily selected for. If we have an incentive, like a biochemical incentive to want to care for, say, our children,
Hmm.
our partners the people that we want to reproduce with, and things like that. It's going to serve us better, but I feel
Yeah.
like as special as that feeling feels, as good as the feeling feels, I feel like
Hmm.
once you I, what's the best way I could say this? I mean, a swan dive to be too, out there, but once you go whole hog on the idea of knowing that everything that you do, all of your maybe not decisions, but all of your impulses, maybe not all of them, but most of your
Hmm.
biochemical impulses, most of your ways of thinking, most of your traits as a like physiologically speaking are a result of evolution, then I don't think
Yeah.
there's a reason to think any less of anything.
Yeah.
Um, because it's like, okay, yeah, like let's say my girlfriend, I love her. Um,
Hmm.
I don't tell her, hey, honey, my serotonin and my norepinephrine and my
Yeah.
vasopressin loves you. I say I love you, obviously,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
but
Yeah. It's a dangerous game.
right, but it's she's a nurse. She get it. She laugh. But
Yeah.
beside the point is that just because I might be technically correct in saying like, okay, these seven chemicals are making me feel the way that I feel for you, it still doesn't make the feeling itself any less real. And we can maybe take a step back and say, okay, well, if it's not as real, then what's the point? I mean, I don't
Sure.
think I don't think if we otherwise operating under the illusion that everything is the way that we feel it should be and the way that our brain tells it to be, then it doesn't make these impulses any less special, if that makes any sense.
Sure. So my follow up to that would be, would you say that nature's kind of played a trick on you into that feeling?
I wouldn't say nature's played a trick on me in that feeling per se. I say this might be a little causally backward. I think it's played a trick on me and allowed me to think about it strongly enough to question
Okay.
why I feel that feeling. It's,
Yeah.
it's not the love itself that I feel is like the illusion or the trick, but it's the evolving the ability to think so hard about it and really look at it from the outside and be like, wow,
Sure.
that's really why I feel this shit. So yeah,
Yeah.
just exactly backwards, like causally backwards.
Sure. Yeah. No. I think that's a really interesting answer. I like that one though. That's probably one of the best answers I've heard to that.
Oh,
Um, and I guess the last point I'm going to bring up because I do want to be in bed before too is kind of just to jump straight to the point of Christian, because right now we've really just been covering like theism or even polytheism.
yeah.
Is uh, I view the Gospels as being historically reliable information.
Mhm. Oh, it's go from there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like I can list the reasons for
Oh,
why. Number one would be the archaeological evidence, the fact that they're referencing real places. Um, hold on. I have them right here. I want to make sure I don't miss any of them. But the archaeological evidence, I would view the internal consistency. I'm just going to speak in the Gospels because like it would take a whole day to go over the internal consistency in the Bible.
yeah.
I would say that there's multiple of them. They were written near the time when they were covering. They were produced independently, um, and they're not biased towards the subject matter. Reading it from an objective standpoint.
Oh man. Okay, where do we start? What's your third point?
And I would say like that's how I would determine any historicity among historical documents. Like I would hold those standards to any
Okay.
any
I don't know if
historical document.
oh man, I love chewing on the meat of the gospels, both archaeologically and narratively speaking. I'll get on the narrative stuff first. I heard you say that they were produced independently, and
Hmm.
I don't think that's the scholarly consensus. I mean, maybe in that the stories themselves were written by individual, maybe not individual authors, but compiled by four different sets of authors over the course of like I think John has written like what, like 90, 100 somewhere in there. But I don't think that they were produced without copying off of one another. So, independent in the regard of individual people bore witness to this thing and just wrote about it at four different times, like a decade or so after each other. Yeah, it's personally, that's not where the at least the scholarly consensus leads us.
Sure. And I mean, like, I'm just going to ask for some evidence pointing towards the fact that they weren't written independently.
Sure, sure, I got you. 1 second.
And like, I'm sorry for like asking for evidence.
Oh no,
Like if I'm talking on things
no, hold my
claimed in
feet to
the
the fire,
Bible.
man. That's
Yeah.
I've dealt with so many intellectually dishonest people in my day. Like this one of the, and they annoy me to no end. If anything I can
Oh,
do to make sure to not be to not be that is more than welcome. So,
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, that's just TikTok debates, right?
okay, Gospel of Luke. I got to pull up 4 individual tabs. Uh, Gospel of John. I'll go in
Yeah,
the order they were claimed to have been written because the
sure.
Bible lists Matthew then Mark, but Mark was, or at least scholars believe that Mark was written first. So
Yeah, it's like the Star Wars movies.
I'll go there. Really quickly before I get into it, because this might be a
Sure.
little bit of a doozy. The Phoenix, thank you for the tiny diny. Rawr, appreciate it. At God's evil twin, please don't roast me. Thank you for the follow, Brayton. Thank you for the follow, and I think that's it. I fell off. All right. Where's my display capture? Boom. Okay, let me move
And
you.
I just want to clarify. I realize I might have misspoken. I'm not going to say written, but they were accounted for individually.
What do you mean accounted for?
Like they took testimonies from people who either knew eyewitnesses or were eyewitnesses, and then like I understand that like the writers may have collaborated between different different sources. However, the original accounts of the gospel were accounted for independently.
All right. Let's see here. That gets a little problematic since all of them are claimed to be anonymous, as we're about to jump into a little bit.
Sure.
As soon as I figure out my old blasted display capture. Okay, here we go here. See here. No, this is John. This one's too far in. Okay, let's start with Mark, since they say that happened first. Okay, second paragraph, Gospel of Mark. If you want, I can just like go to the sources at the bottom of the page if you want me to. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, like after you talk on
after.
everything.
All right, traditionally attributed to Mark the Evangelist, the companion of Apostle Peter, the Gospel is anonymous, and scholarship is inconclusive on his authorship. That's 2 sources. It's dated to around 70 AD and was likely
Mhm.
written in Rome for a Gentile audience. It's classified as an ancient biography and was meant to strengthen the faith of its readers.
Sure.
Hypothesis of Mark and priorities held by. That's just the reason that they put it before Matthew in the Bible,
Mhm.
or after, I think. And so the sources, let's see, 7, 8, and then 11's kind of an irrelevant point. I'll just go 7, 8, 9, and 10. That would be 7, would be. Come back here.
Sure. And just to while you're looking for that, just to kind of confirm what you were saying, just because I have the article up in front of me, it says that the writers were claimed to be anonymous,
Correct.
or the eyewitnesses were.
Oh, like the eyewitnesses of the events within the Bible?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know, if the books themselves had anonymous authorship, then we wouldn't be able to verify whether or not the person that did write it was like a contemporary eyewitness
Sure.
to the
So I
event.
mean, even if like they're mentioned by name.
If we can maybe verify the existence of the person and then like maybe have some contemporary sources for that, sure, but just book that was compiled anonymously says a thing, it gets a little bit more dicey.
Yeah.
And that would be for if this is on YouTube, so I guess you could like maybe pull it up afterward if you want to go back to
Oh
the
yeah.
sources or
Is it linked in your
yeah,
channel
yeah.
or in your TikTok? Okay, but yeah.
Tippity top. Watts Henderson. See here the gospel according to Mark, Michael
Hmm.
Coogan, Brettler, all that good stuff. Or you can just go to the Wikipedia pages. Uh,
Yeah,
That'll probably do you a lot better than
that's
reviving
cool.
my dead YouTube channel. See
Mhm.
commentary on the New Testament, TNT Clark 2020. I'm not sure if they're scholars or not, but here's their
Mhm.
ISBN. Telford, 1999, page 12, Cambridge University Press, and Perkins, 2000, Theme Perkins, 2007, Introduction to the Synoptic Gospels. The Bart Ehrman, oh, that's not Bart Ehrman, that was published, no, but here's the ISBN for that too. So it's all on the Wikipedia for the Gospel of Mark.
Sure.
We could,
So I guess one question that I'd have about um, the Gospel of Mark is at least from the sources that I found is that Mark interpreted Peter's recollections, and according to uh, oh, what's his name, Papis or something. it was confirmed in some of his writings that it was accurate to what happened. When comparing it to let me get it pulled up, but one of the, like, I know a Jewish official kind of wrote some documents documenting the life of Jesus as well,
Okay.
um, or like what he heard to have happened in that time. And from what I remember reading, they actually coincided pretty, like, accurately. What like maybe like the timelines didn't match up, but all the like acts did, I guess.
Uh, Jewish. I'm guessing historian. Are you talking about Josephus? Probably not Josephus. That came a little while afterward.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, I mean, he's one person. Hold on, let me find it up.
So that's a whole other.
Yeah, yeah.
But quickly, you waited for weeks. Where were you? I'm here every couple days. Don't stream as much as I used to, but yeah, I'm still here. I did a stream yesterday though. It was kind of hilarious for April Fool's Day.
um,
But
yeah. Sorry, I misspoke. He wasn't Jewish. But Thallus, who wrote 55 AD, and
Dallas,
then he was quoted by Julius Africanus in 220 AD.
Dallas,
And that was quoted by the Byzantine historian Georgius
Dallas, a
Syncellus in his
Greek
chronicle.
historian who may have been a Samaritan, wrote a history on the Eastern Mediterranean and is known for his account on the darkness during Jesus' crucifixion, which he attributed to a solar eclipse, a view criticized by Julius Africanus as unreasonable. Let's see here. What's his? Julius Africanus says it's unreasonable, but let's not go hearsay even if it does agree with me. Let's look at what the evidence has to say.
Sure.
There are fragments from the three books of Dallas in which he made a summary in abbreviated fashion from the sack of Troy to the 167th Olympia. This has to do with like other stuff. Let me just control F Jesus. There are 11 mentions. Let's go up to number one. Works are considered important by some Christians as confirming the historicity of Jesus and providing non Christian validation of the gospel accounts. According to early Christian scholar Julius Africanus, Dallas apparently refers in the third book of historians to the of histories to the darkness of the time of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Explained it away as a solar eclipse, there is a range of interpretations on the matter. Number one and two. In his Chronicle of Theophanes, 9th century Christian chronicler George. Why do they have to have these names? Why do I have George Sinkella? I don't know. Cites the chronographial of Sextus Julius Africanus' writing in reference to the darkness mentioned in the Synoptic Gospels as occurring at the death of Jesus. There's a bunch of different stuff that he says really quickly.
Yeah.
So it's Africanus that goes on to point out that an eclipse cannot occur at Passover when the moon is full because it is diametrically opposite the sun. Um, so Julius of Africanus appears to be a very, maybe not harsh critic, but just a critic altogether on his
Yeah.
claims of an eclipse during the time of Jesus' supposed crucifixion.
Hmm. Yeah, and so I can understand the criticisms coming from his standpoint. Um, However, for me, like the big piece of evidence that I see in the writing is it's coming from a non-Christian author who talked of something, um, and I believe that Julius's um, criticism to that is even more proof that it was something crazy that happened. It wasn't something regular. It wasn't something that was normal. Something strange happened that was accounted for by a non-Christian, or, like, I'm gonna say, like, non-apologist. And that confirms at least one piece of legitimacy within the Gospels, and I see that one piece of legitimacy holding more truth over speaking from there being no pieces of illegitimacy.
I think it would give more credence to the idea that the person who is making such a claim wouldn't have like maybe such an apparent theological what's the word I'm looking for word's hard theological man, it's such a common word. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Like viewpoint, maybe.
No, mo. Mo. We'll go with mo.
Okay.
Like a theological mo, or like a theological one to lie about something like that, or maybe like say something like that. I mean, it would give more credence to it, but then we would have to look at maybe not the religion of the person that made the claim against them or like criticized it, but rather
Mhm.
the content of it. So maybe
Yeah.
just from like my couple seconds of reading here, which so obviously not super in depth, but
Yeah, that's fine.
he said like an eclipse would have been impossible, which so that when it would come down to like a scientific issue at that point. And obviously, I mean, if we're granting a supernatural framework in the first place, like maybe if
Yeah,
we're
and that's why like
if
it's
a
like kind of a weak argument, but
yeah
I I believe that it does provide a basis for evidence. I mean, it may not be proof, but I do believe that it is evidence that like the gospels were an accurate, it's just one of the pieces of evidence that they were an accurate account due to um some like contradictions between science, and the claims that there's a supernatural event going on.
yeah it's interesting for sure. I would have to. I don't want to chalk it up immediately to like the works of like the Testimonium Flavianum, or like Annals, or like the Epistulae, because man, those were hard reads, man. Those were some hard reads back when I was a Christian. Like man,
Hmm.
because I was leaning on them the whole time. Like, well, they don't even mention the supernatural stuff. But beside the point,
Yeah.
I'd have to look more into it. But just on its face, maybe not to be so skeptical about it, even though it's in my name. But it's non-Christians saying a particular thing that possibly goes against science or what we can verify with the cosmology, or what the cosmology says is possible at the time, is on its face not convincing. I would have to. I mean, obviously, I have to look more into it. What did he claim? Why did he claim it? What's
Yeah.
his intention? What's the word I'm looking for? Damn it,
Yeah,
yeah, intention.
yeah,
But intentions behind it. Potential criticisms of it, and then like why those criticisms would be valid or invalid. So
yeah, yeah, and that's the answer I'm fine with. I mean, I haven't, I'm not like crazy well studied, I just started getting into these sort of apologetics, and I mean, I know some people call some sorts of it like reconstruction if you're coming from a deconstruction background, and it's like I'm still learning as I go, and like yeah, this is probably just an area where like we both need to do more research on it, until we could find, some truth and either way in what happened.
yeah, nothing
Um,
wrong with being ignorant. Just yeah, there's nothing wrong with a lack of knowledge. Just until
yeah,
if you wanting to speak out of your tuck is about a lack of knowledge, that's where I get fed up, and that's why we've been
yeah.
able to hope go on for so long so far. It's because
Hmm.
I don't like doing it. I like to get checked when I'm doing it. You definitely haven't done so far. So,
Hmm. Sure.
but yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah. So I mean, that was one. I mean, we probably won't have to be able to get through all my bases of historicity, but another one that I guess I would want to touch on is all of the eyewitness accounts, and I understand that eyewitness accounts are pretty murky waters because it's not like we have them in writing right now, all of them, of Jesus's resurrection. But I believe a piece of evidence, persuading to you or not, is the fact that we have accounts of people dying saying that they saw something, and I'm sure that like like cults, we see it like all the time. However, if we have all these people who have been put to death claiming that they saw something at the same time, and now we have accounts of something supernatural going on at the same time, I believe it is good evidence that we have these accounts of people who who were put to death because maybe not even that they believed that Jesus was the Son of God, but just that they believed that he came back from the dead.
yeah, or did something worth dying for at the very least.
Yeah, like even if they're not like a new Christian at that point.
Yeah, I'm glad you shot down like First Corinthians 15:6. Is it 15:6? I think it's 15:6 in the foot. Because I hear that one so often. Oh, there's so many eyewitnesses, so many eyewitnesses. I'm glad you did touch on like the very reason I would have.
Yeah,
clap
and
back
like
against us, like because they're not contemporary. But
yeah, and to me, for that to be evidence, like we first have to agree on the historicity of the gospels.
yeah,
If you believe in the historicity, then you are going to use that as a piece of evidence. But if you don't, then that's something we can't agree on. So
exactly. You'd have to believe in like the authorship of the Pauline, like that goes in like the Pauline letters and the epistles.
mhm.
Since that was in I think First Corinthians, if I'm getting the verse right, but yeah, for the like people like the apostles getting put to death, I mean, we just have to get something extra biblical to say that these people did indeed exist. These people can be verified to have existed. They can be verified to have been put to death, rather because like just looking from a skeptical, like a Bible critical standpoint, like
Mhm.
Bible says a thing, Bible says people were put down for their belief in the thing. It's obviously from the outside and it's
Yeah.
doesn't do all that much for me.
Hmm. Um, yeah, hold on. I'm trying to find my source that kind of mentions a few people. If I could find it, that claimed he rose, who weren't the apostles or the disciples or Christians, and they were put to death for it. Um, Let me see, because I know like um, a couple of the Roman Roman historians from the first century um, also mention it. Um,
Okay, while you're
but
looking for
I
that,
do
I'll
know that. What?
also
Sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt. While you're looking for that, I'll get to some comments real quick. I've been neglecting my babies. Uh, you're not ruling out the possibility of a creator, right? No, I'm agnostic about it. I just think that there would have to be some evidence of one for me to hop on board with it. Things can just form under natural circumstances. I mean, OSs have been shown to do just that. Yeah, there was just an experiment that came out. Was it like I think August of last year? Like really, really recent. That says that the all that they were missing was like the silicone with the first protocell. So absolutely. And please interrupt me whenever you get your source if you do find it. Uh,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
again, let's see what we got here. Let me catch up on YouTube. Actually, I'm a genuinely nice person, but I know people out here not doing devious shit because of the fear of going to hell. Yeah, I would really hope that we don't need like some sort of revenge of it to not hurt one another. Um, if you don't believe in a god, then you also can't believe in hell. So you believe there's nothing. See, yeah, correct. Ma B on YouTube. I don't believe in hell. I think hell is also fictional. So as an extension, I don't think I'm going to hell, and I don't think anyone's going to hell. I don't think you're going to hell. I don't think Hitler's going to hell. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody's going to hell because I don't believe hell exists. What would be good enough evidence for you? Something that shows that the supernatural claims of the Bible are true, or at the very least that the God of the Bible is true, and that the God of the Bible can't be untrue. That's what I would consider evidence. And I feel like a lot of arguments get that second part wrong. So I'll hear stuff like, this God's the basis for your morality. No offense, because I know we just went over this, but I hear it so often I gotta bring it up. But like the God of the Bible is like the cause of your morality, or the reason that logic exists, or the reasons that math exists, or something like that. But there are a bunch of different possible explanations, even if I grant the argument. So it's like that's what I would consider evidence. How did you become an ex-Christian? I left my faith after a year and a half of deconstruction. Deconstruction is just critically thinking about why you believe what you believe and interrogating your faith, taking it apart layer by layer, piece by piece, and checking to see if you find any veracity in the claims to the faith. And ultimately, for me, after about a year and a half of that process, I just came to the conclusion that I don't believe in anything supernatural or divine. The Rock Moses split, it exists. If you're talking about the Ron Wyatt hoax from like the '90s, then that was long since debunked, disproven, thrown away. Ron Wyatt's a quack. Ron Wyatt is a hoax. He's a fraudster. He's a liar, and he's a piece of shit. To be honest with you, I can't find more graceful words than that. He's a piece of shit. Do you believe in anything else in life without seeing or proper evidence of? Do I believe anything without any proper evidence? Like any existence of anything? I guess you could say aliens, maybe, but aliens in the regard of like life in the universe that we're never gonna get in contact with and haven't come in contact with. Sure, that. But even then, I can give like logical and mathematical reasons why I think aliens exist. Are you trying to interrupt or?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, no,
Okay,
it's fine. I want to let you finish.
okay, you're good.
So,
Good.
so the source that I found, I can't pronounce his name at all, but it's Pliny the Younger.
Oh, plenty.
He was,
The
yeah,
epistolae. I've read those.
yeah. And I can't find the source for like non-Christians being persecuted. I mean, if I find it, I'll send it to you on
Okay.
TikTok or something. But this is another person who accounts for Christians coming up to him, telling them about it, and he he has an eyewitness account to gatherings. Like the Sunday, I guess the Sunday church gatherings. The gatherings of Christians on Sunday, in memory of his resurrection day. Yeah, I can't find the source for the non-Christians right now. I
No,
thought
you're
it was in this paper that
no, you're
also had.
good. That's honest. I've read the epistolae. I think it was X 96 or some just like 96 or
Yeah,
something. I've
yeah, 1090 or 10.96 is
10.96. Yeah,
yeah.
it was part of I read that like it's been years, so can't cite
Hmm.
it off top or anything. I mean, I would hope not, unless I got like a tism of some sort. But yeah, I've read it. It does acknowledge that they were Christians at the time. They were Gatherans.
Hmm.
He does talk about it, and maybe not in great detail, but he does mention Christians at the time, or what we
Yeah.
know as Christians now at the time. But yeah,
Hmm.
he's doesn't claim to be like an eyewitness to the resurrection or to
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
like that. Just
yeah. Just eyewitness, to people claiming that they're gathering for the claim of the resurrection.
yeah,
I
yeah, and
guess is a
that's
accurate way to quote it.
yeah, it's it's hate to sandbag so much, but it's a little too outside in for me to be like, I think
Yeah, no, and I can respect that, and especially coming from a skeptic, and I honestly think that's the best way to learn is to doubt everything. Ask questions on everything.
yeah,
Um,
doubt everything until the evidence doesn't allow you to anymore. It's my way
yeah,
of at
yeah,
least trying to go
yeah. And I
about
guess
things.
this might just be, like maybe like different views of that level of doubt between us. I think there really is only maybe a couple degrees of separation. Um, and I think that those couple of degrees might just be how we view our doubts, and you know it could just be something as simple as that.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. It's I was just talking about this in my Discord not that long ago, but how much like basically what point are is what anybody consider sufficient before they toss something away or in this
Yeah,
case before they believe something. For me,
yeah,
I've discovered I'm just a little bit too pragmatic for a lot more pragmatic than a lot more philosophically minded people. I'm just for
sure.
me I'm so outside and it's like if I see a book saying like okay somebody rose from the dead I'm gonna think rather than looking
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
narrative itself and going from there, which a lot of people do when they deconstruct. But
yeah. Well, no, great, dude. Honestly, I thought this is probably the best conversation I've had with like these TikTok debates and stuff. But yeah, definitely really appreciate you having me on. I think we had some good discussion, and I'm looking forward to doing some more of that research. And I'll be sure to reach out when I find
no,
that
absolutely.
that one source I couldn't find everywhere.
Yeah, it was a fun, stimulating conversation. If you want, I can just like curse at you real quick, make it more akin to like other TikTok debates, get some clout points real quick. Put it on
Yeah.
YouTube, put it on Shorts, be like, I made this Christian look silly, it's really quickly.
Yeah, man, up to you. But yeah, I say I got an 8 a.m., so I gotta get headed out right now. But
All right.
yeah, have a
Your
good night.
Sky Daddy's not real. I'm just kidding. Have a good rest of your night. Appreciate you. All right.
Peace.
Take care. Take care. Lovely discussion. Love when that happens. God damn, that was an hour long. Oof. That was an hour. Man, loved it. Let's get a W guest in the chat. That was a lovely discussion. Appreciate intellectual honesty. I can't engage in intellectual dishonesty anymore. I'm sorry. I'm just past it. I'm so past it. That's why I guess that hour felt like 10 minutes because it was like even just in comment sections where you can reply whenever you want to. I've had so many people just just I don't even want to say their minds in the toilet. It's in the fucking ground at that point. That guess was a breath of fresh air. Breath of fresh air. Hella long, hella long. Yeah, W guess. That was a great guest, TBH. I enjoyed his perspective. Yeah, it's that's probably my favorite people to talk to. If I got to talk to people that believe differently or came to a different conclusion, is like people that can, at the very least, look at things from an honest perspective. You know, I can appreciate the hell out of that rather than just like thing says thing, you're going to hell, get fucked, GG. Then okay, you could probably go fuck yourself. You're on the toilet. I'm not on the toilet. That's not what I said, man. Answer some of my questions. Retype your questions, dude. I miss your questions. How come you don't believe in God anymore? I just don't see any convincing evidence for God's existence. That's why I don't believe in God anymore. I looked for evidence. All of the evidence sucked, so that's why I said, okay, well, I believe in something false, and that's unfortunate, but just course correct, and I've been course correcting for like 10 years. It's what a lot of apologists get wrong. You have to meet in the middle and establish common ground. Yeah, exactly. And I don't like to pat myself too hard on the back here, but I try my best to try to meet somebody at that common ground, and people will realize that very quickly. I've gotten that from quite a few Christians so far who say like I'm probably their favorite atheist to talk to because we're able to, leave the ego at the door, leave the like, I say don't believe in universal instantiation and all that extra bullshit, able to leave that at the door and like, okay, what do we have to say about the things that we believe in and go from there. Why would you allow your heart to be hardened? I don't know if that's how it works. Allow my heart to be hardened. Didn't God harden Pharaoh's heart against his will in the Exodus story? Allow it to be hardened. How do you cope with the thought of no afterlife? You fall in love with the life that you have. That's how you cope with no afterlife, to be honest with you. For me, in my mind, nothing comes afterward. I can't even call it blackness afterward. It's just like GG. So I don't have death to worry about because it's like, okay, I'm gonna be dead. I'm not gonna care too much about it. So this is just it. Fall in love with every day, man. That's really about all I can say to you. It's just if this is all you get, live like it's all you get. It's great. Thoughts on peanut butter jelly sandwiches? I've never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because I'm allergic to peanut butter. Thank you for the follow, Johnny. Appreciate it. Let's see here. God's existence doesn't matter. I would agree. I think that I would definitely agree. In the grand scope of things, not really. Pray he reveals himself to you one day. I guess we'll see. Do you feel any conviction from the Holy Spirit? No, I don't believe in the Holy Spirit. Do you believe in seal? And I'm guessing seeking you will find, such as seek God with all your you said seal first and then seem. You were having some trouble with that word seek. I don't believe in seek God with all your heart and you'll find him because I don't believe in God, right? But speaking pragmatically, I already did all the seeking and the prayer and the fasting and the searching for the evidence and the apologetics and the Bible reading and the cross reference dressing and all that extra stuff. And if that's not all your heart, then I don't know what is. Not to shout myself out, but if you'd like to hear my other perspectives, I post them. Yeah, I can give you a follow real quick. Yeah, let's do a follow. Why not? I follow worse people for a lot less, not as good reasons. Do you believe in? Oh, I already read that. Hurts me so bad that people don't feel the love of Christ. Doesn't hurt me. I'm not hurt by it. There's no hurt for me on this one. I just live my life, just do my things. Just do that stuff. You better enjoy this life because it's all you still because it's all you still it's all you have still in a life allowed by God the Father. I just disagree. I think this is a life allowed by my heart being allowed to beat, and not dying yet. It's not about a feeling. I don't feel God, but I'm still devout. Yeah, and I guess that's just where we disagree. If I don't have sufficient evidence for something, I'm not gonna dedicate my life to it. I just think that's absurd, honestly. Um, if you were to say you're a Christian because you have sufficient evidence for the God you believe in, or at least evidence that convinces you, then we have no issue. I get it. You thought about why you believe the things you do and whether or not I agree with them or whether or not I can debunk it or not. I mean, you at least thought about it. I could appreciate that, but yeah, just believe in a thing that you don't feel, you don't see, you can't account for, that you don't find any convincing evidence for. It's just not going to work for me personally. Uh, are you going to take the morality you learn while learning about God with you? the morality that I learned by learning about. I don't know if I learned anything that made me morally all that different from when I was a Christian and when I'm like now, personally. Um, I'd even go so far as to say maybe I'm a little bit better morally now that I don't have a God, because like to me this is the only life I get, and it's the only life that everybody around me gets as well too, right? So I better do my best to be as empathetic with them as possible, to show them the love, like show them one life's worth of love as if it's the one life that we're gonna get. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I would. I don't think I don't take any biblical morality with me personally. The air you breathe, the water you drink, even your very heartbeat is under God's sovereign power. I mean, Muslims claim the exact same thing, so I mean, take it up with them at this point. I think that's what I should really start doing. Is like people that want to use their God to like take credit for the things in my life or the things like the aspects of our reality. It's like take it up with the people who claim otherwise. Not just me who doesn't believe in any of it, but like the people who claim like something different is the reason behind it. Hello, your heating blanket isn't heating up. That's because you don't believe in God. I'd convert over if I were you. Hell would be separation from all that. I mean, I don't believe in hell, so I don't know what you want me to do with that personally. Do you have any other allergies? I'm allergic to all nuts, every single last one of them. Macadamias, filberts, pecans, acorns, I think, pine nuts. Literally all tree nuts I'm allergic to. I'm also allergic to all seafood, all fish, and all shellfish. What about evidence of the resurrection? We just, funny enough, the guest that was on right before you scrolled in, we just talked about it. Yeah, I don't see any convincing evidence of the resurrection personally. What do you think? Oh, the apostles die in terrible deaths for what they claim to see. The thing is, I mean, people die for their beliefs all the time. Probably even today, there's been some people that martyred themselves. Um, look at not Georgetown. Is it Georgetown? No, that's the capital of Guyana. Jonestown, Guyana. November 18th, 1978. They felt strongly convinced that Jim Jones was the Messiah. What did they do about it? Drank some flavor, right? Get what I'm going with it. September 11th, 2001. Don't even need to elaborate on that one too much if you know even anything about American history. So, yeah, I don't consider, like, even if we were to say, like, okay, these apostles definitely existed and they definitely died this particular way, it still wouldn't be very convincing for me. You did the right thing, bro. I think I did the right thing too. Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Do you think maybe having these discussions about atheism will help make people fall away from God? No, I don't think so, actually. Well, you know what, kind of. I think because it has, I have a couple people that say, like, my streams are what caused them to start deconstructing, and one of them is now an atheist. And so, first off, W, right? But beside the point, I don't think that making people think about why they believe the things that they do is gonna is meant to like. I'm just not seeing the connection here, honestly. Like with me thinking about why I used to believe the things I did. I mean, that caused me to quote unquote fall away, stop believing, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, your mileage may vary. If somebody on TikTok's enough to do it for you, then I mean, somebody on TikTok's enough to do it for you. What should I wear tomorrow? You should wear like a FUBU jacket and like a wife beater with some grease stains on it and like some jorts. That's what you should wear. Idaho atheist surrounded by Mormons. Oofity oof oof oof. Mega oof. Ultra oof. Double oof. Triple oof. That's awful. I used to live across the street from a Mormon church, so I get it. I mean, I wasn't surrounded by them, obviously, but no, yeah, I get it. That's a tough cookie to be around. So you're proud of ruining other Christians' eternal lives because you had a problem with the Lord? I don't believe in eternal life. Here's what I'm proud of taking away from people if my streams were enough to take it away from them. There's this idea that there's an eternal life that can cause them to like suffer forever just for not believing in things for the correct reasons. In the right way, right? I don't think we should be telling kids that they are going to hell or that they're there's an eternal life of suffering waiting for them just for not believing in something or believing in something incorrectly. I think that's harmful, actually. And considering that there's no evidence for it, I don't think it's a thing that we should teach people. Right. So taking that away from someone, yeah, I do take pride in that. Um, this idea that people don't deserve to be treated as empathetically as possible in this life because there's some life afterward, or like, it's up to God to decide their worth. I think that's an awful way of looking at things. So yeah, I am proud of that, actually. That faith and just like blindly believing in things is a good enough reason to decide what to dedicate your life to. I think that's kind of shitty, actually. I think we should maybe substantiate the things we believe in before we continue, and we should be able to pick apart fiction from reality, you know? So yeah, I am kind of proud of that. Let's see here. Can you explain your view so I understand your position? I'm an atheist. I don't believe in anything supernatural or divine, paranormal, magical, religious, anything like that. Personally, you're an atheist because you think sinning is something normal. I saw this tweet recently where it's like you could say I like pancakes and somebody could come in saying like, "Oh, so what? You hate waffles?" Like, no, that's a separate sentence. And in that regard, I don't see how anything I've said so far means that I'm a quote atheist because I think that sinning is something normal. I'm not seeing how you got that from literally anything I said. Maturing is realizing religion is necessary for society. I would hope that we get to a point where it isn't. I think it's like a post-colonized people over in America who had religion spread to us by way of like missionaries coming over and slaughtering Native Americans. I would hope that we get to a point where you're like, okay, maybe we should work to do the best with the society that we have and the people that we have, rather than like living for some god that we can't prove exists one way or the other. Do you think that religion has helped humanity? In practice, it can. In theory, it sure hasn't, or at least it's done more harm than good for me. Because there's people literally destroying the planet to this day that are like, what's the point of doing this Earth any good if we're just gonna get an eternal paradise afterward? I think that's a really harmful way to think, at least from the outside in. He has free will if you choose to not have anything to do with God, so shall it be. It's not even necessarily like choosing to not have anything to do with God. I just don't believe it exists. So, plus people don't use their quote unquote free will to just like arbitrarily choose their beliefs. You agree, W? Love to hear it. What denomination were you when you were a Christian but then became an atheist? I was an apostolic when I left, but like 2 years before that, I was a Baptist for my entire life. The tomb where Jesus rose after 3 days exists. Yeah, there's a bunch of different quote unquote tombs in the region and little like caves that they say, oh, this is the tomb that he died in. This is the one. This is the one. It's like, I think they should get their story straight before they tell me to be convinced by it. Are you ever afraid of going to hell slash being wrong? Not trying to be rude. I just want to understand. No, you're fine. You're fine. No, I'm not afraid of hell anymore personally. For Think of it this way, right? Let's say there's a God. Let's pretend for a second. If you're a Christian, you don't have to pretend too much. But if you're an atheist, let's pretend for a second, right? There's a God that exists, and this God knows everything. This God is all powerful. He can do whatever he wants to, and that God is all loving, wants the best for everybody, and all that good stuff. Why would he send people that simply don't believe that he exists to suffer for all of eternity, or to suffer for any amount of time, or be separated for any amount of time, or whatever you want to call it? Makes no sense to me. For me, it makes a lot more sense that this was like something that was made up by people who want people to like feel some fear and be coerced into believing in it, rather than like something an all loving God would make up. It doesn't make any sense. How is it to live in the U.S. right now? I'm straight up not having a good time. I'll be honest. Remember, all these Christians in here are wrong. This Mormon church is the true church. Yep. I guess. I wanted to take you to fully realize you don't think God is real. It took about a year and a half for me to deconstruct, honestly. It was like, yeah, about a year and a half between like me reading the part in the Bible that made me think about God differently to me realizing that God wasn't real. When you were raised a Baptist, were you involved in the church slash got baptized before leaving? I didn't get baptized while I was a Baptist, which is kind of funny, but I got baptized as an apostolic. I even remember the exact date I got baptized. Wait one second, I'm very thirsty. Gotta drink some water real quick. Give me a second. Ugh. Anyway, yeah, I got baptized on October 2nd, 2011, when I was 15. Anyway, how do you believe universe began, including evolution and all the other very real processes, began without an internal cause? Easy. I just think that the universe itself and whatever caused it to expand 14 billion years ago has always existed. Anyway, wait one second. Ugh, that's not good. Okay, wait. Ugh. Okay, there we go. By the way, eternal foreknowledge does not mean we don't have free will. It sure does. Or the very like honest. I'll address your comment on his face. Eternal foreknowledge doesn't mean you don't have free will. I would agree with that, right? But when you couple that with somebody creating you and also somebody being all powerful or at least powerful enough to create you differently, then yeah, free will is impossible. Because let's say God is all knowing and all powerful, right? But that he wasn't our creator. He's not the thing responsible for our existence, right? Okay, we can still have free will that way because he's not the one that set things into motion. He just exists and he knows how everything's going to go. He exists, but he's not the one that caused everything. Okay, fair enough, right? Or that God's all knowing and that he created you, but that he's not all powerful. Free will's possible then because he's like, let's say like he had to create the universe this way, couldn't have created it differently. Okay, fair enough, right? Or that he's all powerful and created you, but that he's not all knowing. He set everything in motion, could have done it differently, but that he didn't know how things would turn out. Okay, still possible you can have free will, but when you have all three at once, it's impossible for you to say you have free will. I need something to wait one second. Oh goodness. Ouchies. Ouchies. Anyway, he life's waiting for you to come back. I don't know what you mean by that, George. I was an atheist, then Christian, then atheist again. When he don't give me, I no believe. Based? Based? W? Anyway, I'm guessing you meant to say he loves you. Okay, I guess. If there's no God, who are you? I'm guessing, how are you alive? Atheists think the big boom made the world. Surely you're joking, right, Dino? You gotta be joking. What clicked? I looked at the evidence and found all of it unconvincing. And what clicked, like the moment I knew I was an atheist was when I was looking for evidence of God and then realized that I was holding God to a different existential standard than everything else in my life. And it just didn't make sense for me to do such a thing. What was the deciding factor in leaving the church? I am Baptist. In leaving the church in particular was when I read the Bible. I read it all the way through. I looked at it honestly. I was like, well, God seems kind of different than this idea of him I've been taught my whole life. You know, this is a little odd. Like this is God. This is what he did. It's a little weird. So that's what made me start thinking about it differently. The moment I knew I was an atheist, though, I just explained. To be honest with you, I'd imagine you heard me. Ex-Muslim atheist, now here. Ooh, let's go. Let's go. I've read the Quran once, and hearing that people can leave such a thing is it's always a breath of fresh air when somebody tells me they've left Islam. Honestly, so I'm guessing you don't like believe anyone is saving us. Like it's just whatever happens on Earth. Yeah, honestly, I don't think there's any saviors coming. I don't think there's anything to save us from except for each other. I think things just are the way that they are, and you gotta accept things the way that they are, or should accept things the way that they are, at least. For me, it's simple. There's no evidence of God. Same. It's all it really comes down to. With evidence, I would not be an atheist if there was evidence. Would I be a Christian? Would I worship God? Gotta iron out the moral issues, but I would at least acknowledge its existence if there was evidence. It doesn't get much more simple than that. So God had no room in your life. I'm how did you glean that from what I said? AI is coming to save us here. You need to trust in it. Nah, I'm good on that. I think I'll pass. I'm not trusting in AI. You went from atheist to Eastern Orthodox. Ooh, Orthodoxes are fun. They're fun to talk to. I'd say the most fun to talk to are like, what's the most fun denomination of Christians to talk to? I don't know, honestly. I don't know if I have one, but Orthodoxes are up there. They're always pleasurable people to talk to. Least fun is Calvinists. I don't even talk to Calvinists anymore. I'm sorry, because like their entire religion is like I say religion. I mean, kind of religion, but their entire denomination is basically everything's predestined anyway. So there's no change in the course of events, which kind of like confines them to intellectual dishonesty. So it's like, what's the point? No such thing as an ex-Christian unless they were lukewarm. Lukewarm and a Christian though. Oh no, the word applied on TikTok said I wasn't a Christian. Oh, I guess I'll go kill myself. Oh no. In GTA, by the way, in GTA, not in real life. I would never hurt myself in real life. TikTok. Have a good rest of your night, Z. Appreciate you being here. You said the idea of God didn't fit in your life. No, I said that the idea of God, like I had a different idea of who God was, and that's what caused me to start questioning the the entirety of the faith. When did you stop believing? I stopped believing in God. This will be 10 years. It'll be 10 years later this year, so I just round up and say 10 years. Like around September is when like September 2015 is when I first deconstructed. Actually, don't think we will ever know how everything was created. Like ever, I don't think we ever will. But I just don't think that a character in a book that very obviously appears to be written by people as a mythology should be the answer. But that's just me. That's just me. That's just me though. Did you have something? What you got for me? Jehovah's Witnesses pretty bad, tbh. Jehovah's Witnesses are some there's some interesting people. They're interesting people. Very interesting people. Um, yeah, pretty. The few I've talked to have been complete and total nutbags. So yeah, I find beauty in not trying to fit the ineffable God into a shoebox. I love you. I love the orthodoxy and respect your position. Yeah, that's fair. Appreciate the respect, I suppose. Thank you. Do you like the movie Cars? It's one of my favorite Pixar movies. Yeah, I like Cars. I think in like the top three Pixar movies for me would have to be like uh let's see here. Not Cars. Cars is number three. Wally's number two. I'd say Up is number one. All right. Anyway, if you're ex-Christian, you were never a Christian. Jackson, if you think I'm about to debate you on what I was when I'm me and you're not me, then I don't know what to tell you. You came to the wrong stream. If you expect to like take too much time of my life to for me debating you about whether or not I was a Christian, then I don't know what to tell you. Good luck. Become a Christian again. I'm good on that. Thank you. Appreciate that though. Imagine being so powerful, even unbelievers talk about him constantly. Yeah, he's so powerful, man. It's not like the belief in him is causing very real, very what's the word I'm looking for? Observable harm to our planet or anything. Yeah, he's. It's just because he's so powerful. Yeah, that's why I talk about him. Absolutely, of course. God exists has been proven. If that was the case, then everybody would believe in God. So you know, gravity's not as debated as God is because it's been proven. She said she tried to get him to turn to God and she tried to get him therapy. Wait, must be talking to somebody else. Do you feel any guilt taking talking shame on Christians? Do I talk shame on Christians or do I talk shame on their beliefs? Because like the religion itself, I'm gonna talk shame on for sure. But you know what? No, to be fair, I did just call it like some Jehovah's Witnesses nutbags, but I try to put religion first, like not religion first, person first, and like religion second. If I'm calling somebody a nutbag, it's not because they're a nutbag. Like it's not because of their beliefs in particular. It's because of them showing clear as day that they're a nutbag. Be sin. I say one rule, you don't follow it. That's GG. See you later. Have a good rest of your night. Appreciate you. If I say just don't spam and it's like the only rule I have, and you come in and spam, I don't know what to tell you. All right. Do I bring up another guest? Sure, why not? Let's do it. Killed viewership last time, but it was a worthwhile conversation for sure. All
Hello.
right. What's up, silly goose? How old are you?
I'm 14.
You gotta be 18 or up, my man.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, TikTok TOS, but appreciate the interest at least. Come back in 4 years or no. Will I be here? Probably not. Probably not. Believing came life came from non-life, and nothing is more blind faith than believing in God. I mean, we could just make up my position and just like we can like make up your opponent's position and then just like attack your made up position if you want to. That's fine. But when you're ready for an actual conversation, ask me what I believe, and then I'll be glad to tell it to you. You say the belief in them causes problems, but you don't take the time to separate the word from the followers. Is there a separation between the word and the followers, though? Show of hands. Who in here is a Christian that doesn't believe in the Bible? Show of hands. You'll be hard pressed to find them. Do you like Destiny 2? I haven't played Destiny 2. It looks very fun, though. Looks like it'll be like right up my alley. Congrats on coming to the light. Aw, appreciate it. Do you feel smarter? I don't feel smarter, honestly. I'm smart enough to know that I don't know anything. You know, I'm smart enough to know like knowledge in and of itself is cool and all, but if you try to apply knowledge too much to your life, then you end up right back where you started, doing dumb things. It's just like philosophy basically. Like some people look like there are people who will be intellectually dishonest because they don't know about philosophy and like how to apply it, and then there will be people who are so into philosophy that they like make shitty claims and stupid claims without substantiating them because of their belief in philosophy. Why'd you stop having faith? Just lack of evidence is why I stopped having faith personally. Do you like slash support other Christians still? Yeah, I like some Christians. I say some like it's like you're one of the good ones now, but yeah, Christians in and of themselves aren't my issue. It's what Christianity teaches and how it applies to the world around us that becomes my issue. So I respect Christians like in and of themselves. There's a lot of Christians I don't respect because they give me a good reason to not respect them, but it's the belief itself that I don't respect. I don't think we should be teaching people that there's like we had two ancestors that ate a fruit, and because of that, you have to dedicate your life to something that you might not be convinced by or burn forever for it. I think that's a awful, shitty, horrible, terrible, no good, very bad thing to teach people. Pixie, thank you for the follow. I had a friend named Pixie once on Twitch. I wonder how she's doing nowadays. All right, Eli, what's up, my man?
Oh, what up?
What up? How old are you for TikTok purposes?
Oh, I'm 20.
All right, what's up, man?
I just wanted to hear like your view. Like why do you think like coming from a man like we came I believe, I'm a Christian that we came from, Adam and Eve. That's pretty much everyone's descendant. Why do you think that's like wrong? What's like bad about it?
Um, Morally or scientifically?
We could do both.
Morally, nothing. Well, I'll say like this. Morally, my issue isn't the idea that we came from two people. I think that's like scientifically incorrect. I think that's
Hmm.
where that gets a little nonsensical. So I'll go on that in a second. But the idea that two people, like two of our ancestors eating a fruit, is what causes us like enacted a generational curse that would doom us to eternal suffering by default. I think that's morally pretty shitty. I think that's awful. Awful of God to enact if true, awful to teach people even if it were true or not.
Hmm.
So that's the moral issue. I don't have an issue with like a moral issue with the idea that we came from Adam and Eve in and of itself, but the issue, like the scientific issue with why I don't believe in Adam and Eve, is because we have over 1,500 different ethnicities of people,
Hmm.
8 billion people, and the Genesis story happened about 6,000 years ago, and that's just like from everything we know about genes, DNA, it's just scientifically impossible for us to only have two descendants over like 6,000 years ago.
Understandable. Um s- I have I like to be very, scientifical because I never believed the Bible or like I would really think like kind of not saying like how you would think, but I would get like that same feeling. Like I would think like, it's impossible. But I don't know. There's just like for me, it's like a feeling, and it was just something that was always. I guess my mom would call it like the Holy Spirit. So I don't know. It's like I really have like a lot of issues with like when it comes to like sin and stuff, and like a lot of it, like the Bible really has like certain verses like really help me like get through it, and
Mm.
like just helps me like get through like with my day-to-day life, because for me like when I don't really like look at it like as if it's oh, could this be wrong or could it not, like I have my faith, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
um I just want to know like what like but besides science or anything, you don't just not become a Christian or you're a Christian. Like for me, like there's that feeling, like that belief, and I just want to know like how you first, like if you ever had that feeling or if you ever like how did you lose it?
You're talking about like this like Holy Spirit esque sort
Yeah,
of deal.
yeah. 'Cause I'm sure you've.
D- Huh? Oh, come on, bro. What did I even do? Hate speech and hateful behaviors. Oh, I got reported. No, we appeal it. Wait 1 second. The Bible does not teach that Adam and Eve were the first humans. Does it not, though? Does it not, though? If you're looking from a fundamentalist perspective, it kind of does in Genesis 1. All right, let's see what we got here. Let me just appeal this. Submit appeal. Submit. Boom. Easy. What did he say? No, he didn't say anything. I got suspended on TikTok, so I gotta log into my alt. I'm not gonna sit here and just not stream. No, he went silent because so when you get suspended on TikTok, they just stop the stream right there. Say, it's over for you, GG, get out. And so that's what happens to me when but the thing with TikTok is like not only are the rules strict, but if people like mass report you, then odds are they're gonna take their side and just like it's up to you to submit the appeal and then then they'll look into it and see if you actually broke the rules or not. But if you're getting reported a bunch of times, they're just gonna suspend you first rather than ask questions second. So that's why he went silent because I'm not live on TikTok because we got suspended. So am I gonna I'll probably get off here though. It's been what, 2 hours and yeah, just over 2 hours. So I'm gonna get off of here. Watching on YouTube. Is it also on TikTok? Yeah. When I stream, I also stream on TikTok. I used to be able to stream on like all of my platforms, like Twitch, Instagram, Twitter back when I had premium, right? But like Kick, Trovo, all at the same time. But Streamlabs is having an issue, so it's just YouTube and TikTok. So, but yeah, that's where I take up guests. If you see me responding to like something on the screen that you don't see in a YouTube chat, that's where it's coming from. It's from my TikTok chat. So yeah, I'm gonna get off of here though. Yeah, appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate the conversation. And then